I gave you my heart.
Hi, this is Lori. This is Sexpisode Part 4. We're going to deal with some serious topics today, but I'm going to try to make it brief. I'm sorry I haven't made videos in a while. I had some issues with my daughter with her school. She's autistic, and they were not complying with modifications they had to do on how they teach her and stuff, and they just didn't want to be flexible at all, and they treated her bad. So anyway, we decided to homeschool her. So we kind of had to transition from that to homeschool, and that was a lot of work, and getting a desk in here and a computer and all that. But what I was gonna say, this is Sexpisode Part 4. Today we're gonna deal with issues that arise from the ages of your 20s up through your 30s and 40s even. A lot of it deals with abuse in relationships because it's so prevalent. And I want to address something that is a big problem in the South where I'm from. Girls typically, I mean, some of them don't get married, but a lot of them will get married after college. And they get with guys very quickly. And then when they're with them, and I've talked about the getting married quickly thing before, but when they're with them, they wind up diminishing their self-worth over time. Like their self-esteem goes, wah, 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 wah. There's a reason for that. There are Bible verses that say wives need to submit to their husbands and that they're like the leader of the house. And like, it's kind of like you have this hierarchy where you're supposed to worship God at the top, and then your husband, and then your children, and then you at the bottom. You are nothing. God is everything. And I get the sentiment on the surface. It sounds nice and what it's supposed to be, but it's not. Because guys will twist that. They will twist that so much and try to use that to abuse women. And it's really sad that it happens, but it does. And I'm not saying all men do, but it happens with such a frequency. And women need to be aware that that kind of stuff happens and that it could happen to you. A lot of guys, they want sex, and this is going to be a little graphic. They want sex when they want it, and if their woman has a headache or she's been working hard or has other things on her mind, then he thinks that, oh, well, that doesn't matter. You know, she's supposed to submit to me. She's mine, my woman. You know, I married her, very caveman-like. And like he'd come home from work and want to just throw you on the bed and go at it. No foreplay, no I love you, none of that. And they try to justify it with the Bible verses about wives submitting to husbands, that we're supposed to do everything they say. Guys will twist that and rape women. They will abuse women for a reason. You know, they'll say, well, you're being disobedient. You deserve to have this done to you, and you should thank me. I have heard stories about wives who were actually whipped like children with belts, with boards, all kind of crazy stuff, for talking back to their husbands, for getting the supper wrong, burning the soup, you know, so to speak, just messing up things, making a mess of the house. If they came home from work and the house was messy, they would like slap their woman and like hit them. And I know they're not their woman, but that's the way they believe. That's their belief system. They have been taught from birth that they should be in charge, that they're right below God, and that women are below them, to be their servants. We have to submit to what they want and their guidance and their leadership, even if it's wrong, even if we disagree. And that's messed up. Women should have the right to say no. You know, if you're married to a guy, that does not entitle him to have you anytime he wants you. Same thing for you. I mean, you're not entitled to have him anytime you want him. You know, there's a thing called consent, and they don't teach this in schools. They need to teach this in schools. That consent needs to be present in all sexual relationships. whether it's somebody you're dating or somebody you're married to, you should be able to say no if you don't want to. That should not be anything that is forced upon you, ever, ever, ever. I'm telling you, it's bad. And it's very prevalent. People from their 20s to 40s deal with a lot of this because they're stressed. You know, they're out on their own. They're working sometimes multiple jobs, one or two, you know, and just trying to get by and trying to keep their house clean. They're popping out babies during that time, and it's a lot of stress. It's a lot going on. And so they're scared to make a big change and like leave their husband, you know, because they think about it. They're like, well, if I left him, he wouldn't beat me. But on the other hand, if I leave him, I'm breaking up my family and I'm making my kids grow up without a daddy. You know, that would make me an ungodly woman, wouldn't it? I should support my family. And you're stuck in that situation. The church tries to guilt trip you into staying with somebody that's abusive. A lot of churches do. Not all, but a lot. Enough to make me warrant saying it, that people need to be aware, think about their relationships, keep themselves in mind, that they do have self-worth. You're not invisible just because you're a woman. And if you're a guy in a relationship, you should, for real, you should know that you can say no if you don't want to. That if you are stressed out at your job, you don't have to keep that particular job just because your woman wants you to. You should be able to switch to something you feel comfortable doing that you enjoy to a degree, you know, and it makes you enough money to survive. Marriage is about compromise. It's about compassion. It's about having mercy for the other person. You can use Jesus' teachings and apply them to a marriage and it'll work beautifully. But if you decide to go all Neanderthal and Old Testament on her, it's going to fall apart. Even if she's with you, even if she stays with you 20, 30, 40 years, she's going to remember the whole time that you beat her and treat her like garbage. Do you think she thinks you're going to be with her in heaven? Really? Really? And do you really have a solid marriage if you're in that situation? I mean, it might be on paper, but you're not loving each other. That's not a marriage. If you're just like roommates with the person, that's not a marriage. You have to love that person. And wives, you can't be abusing your husbands either. If you get mad, you can't smack your husband. You can't scream in his face. You can't call him awful names. You can't throw objects at him. It's just trashy. Come on. I mean, have a little class, you know? I've known women that did this too, and I'm like, really? And we're expected to be like cherished and loved, and how are you going to be cherished and loved if you hit your husband with a frying pan? Really? That he's not going to cherish you and love you for that. You may be angry and you may be upset, but you've got to weigh out, how bad was it what he really did? Let's think about it. Is it really that important? If it is that important and it's a big deal to you and it creates a toxic relationship, you need to get out. If it's something small that is not worthy of fighting about and fussing about and making an argument, let it go, you know? But I'm just saying, I hope you all have healthy and pleasant relationships and you love each other and have compassion for each other as humans. And this is Lori. I'm out for my last Sexpisode. My next video will be probably a different topic. It will still be reality smack, but I'm going to deal with different topics. If you have ideas for me, put them in the comments section. Subscribe and get more of reality smack with me. Thank you. Please subscribe for more interesting content from Reality Smack. Thank you so much for watching. Love y'all.